Sahanavavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So today we have to cover 3 more verses. We covered verse 29, 27 last week, but we will pick the thread from there. We'll explain what is the next 3 verses. It's pretty much easy, so we can cover that quickly, and then we can pick up the pending questions. Any questions we can answer. And also somebody suggested last time that we may need to dedicate one full session for Q&A. So let's check how many questions are there in our forum. And if there are enough questions, I'm happy to dedicate one session for Q&A. So we will do a check on Sunday. So whatever questions we get, if there are enough questions to dedicate a session, we can do that. Otherwise, we'll do a recap of chapter 7. And from the next week, we are going to do chapter 8. And we will do chapter 8 in a much enhanced way. So with that introduction, we can continue our discussion. We were on chapter 7, verse 27. So we covered 22, 24, 25, 26, 27. The whole idea was... I'm sorry. Okay. Verse 27, this verse we covered.
Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa.
Very interesting verse. So you need to connect the dots and connect the thread here. So the whole idea of this chapter was, what is the nature of Ishvara? What is the nature of God? So this is what we have been discussing. And Krishna on verse 13 and 14 established the fact that why people are suffering in this world, why people are not seeing me properly, even though the God is there anywhere and everywhere, you can only see God. You cannot, in fact, see anything else, but you are not recognizing the God. Why? Because of the delusion of Maya, what happens? You don't see the actuality behind the peripheral things. And then what happens? You run after the worldly objects without getting hold onto God. So what the advice given, the revolutionary advice given by Krishna was, it's okay to go after the world, only after getting anchored in God. Once you get anchored in God, remember the example of that chain before you jump into the water, a running river. Without the support of that chain, what happens? I will be carried away by the water. So hold on to that God. That is why the solution is presented on verse 14, 15, 16 as Ishvara pravritti, Ishvara pranidhana, or bhakti. That is what is given. And then we had an elaborate discussion on the different types of bhakti. We had 4 types of people praying to God. We talked about artha, artharthi, jijnasu, jnani, all those things we discussed. And finally, Krishna said, Jnani is more dear to me, not because I don't have any partiality for him, because Jnani see me as myself. Jnani see me as himself. So that is why he was able to love me. But that doesn't mean that Artho, Artha, Artharthi, Jijnasu, they are not inferior bhaktas. So Ishvara Bhakti is important. And that Ishvara Bhakti will start from the lower level of Bhakti, which is spiritual materialism or religious materialism we called. We use the religion and God as a means to acquire and possess things in the world, right? So really speaking, that is not spirituality. That is another way of getting material things accomplished, but that is not bad. At least I recognize a higher presence there. Then what happened? You need to grow to a jnyasu. So artha and artharthi are the religious materialists. Then comes to jnyasu. Jnyasu is a yogi, karma yogi. Then finally it turns into a jnani. So this is how the evolution is. And then on verse 26, Krishna said, it's very, very difficult for anybody to recognize Ishvara because I'm not easily visible to people. Why? My own Yogamaya blocks me, blocks my visibility in the world outside. That is the challenge. So even though people cannot see me, I can see everybody. I can see everybody, right? I am not the controller of, I am the controller of Maya. Maya is not the controller of me, right? So even, meaning there was a question, if people cannot see God, how the God can see people? If the vision is obstructed on one side, is the vision of God is also obstructed on the other side? Somebody asked me after the class last week, so it's like putting a veil in front of you. If I presented the Maya as an avarana. So if there is an avarana, is that one way or two way? Because of Maya, people may not be able to see God, but God do not have any problem. In fact, that was the verse 26. Krishna said, I know everything. There is nothing in the world that doesn't know me. Interestingly, Swami Chinmayananda used to tell a story when he used to teach this subject. So apparently, a father and son was going in the streets of Chennai for a small walk. And the child saw like one policeman was holding a person and walking. And the curious child asked the father, what is he doing? He said, he's a thief and why the policeman is there? Actually, he is holding the thief. So the thief is controlled by the policeman. After some time, the next day, they saw two policemen holding one thief. So then the father explained, he's a bigger thief, more dangerous thief. So that's why two policemen. So they are controlling the thief. The thief is getting controlled by the policeman. The child understood. After some times, the child saw the president walking. Hundreds of police people around him. What was the natural doubt? Is he the biggest thief? Then the father has to explain, no, even though there are hundreds of thieves, policemen around him, policemen are not controlling the president is controlling the policeman. That is the difference. So here, even though the Maya is there, and the Maya blocks the visibility of a simple human being about God, God is not constrained by anything. To clarify that only, Krishna explained in the previous verse we saw that I know everything in the universe. There is absolutely no secret for me. Now, in this verse 27, Krishna said, why people are caught up in this Maya? He said, because of the likes and dislike, right? So very, very nicely he explains. He says, so icha dvesha samuktena, because of the icha means raga or desire, binding desire. And ichva desha means aversions, dvesha, because this is what is controlling our life. And in fact, this is the effect of Maya. So we wanted to get something always, that promotion, this money, that lottery, that relationship, all that is icha. And something in our life we want to get rid. So that is aversion. So this, because of this binding attachment and aversion, what happens? because of this duality, like you see everything as different. Sarva bhutani sammohaha. All the beings in the universe get deluded. And that meaning sarge yanti parantapaha. Like at the beginning of the creation, or in this creation, what happens? Everybody is getting deluded because of this likes and dislikes. So what happens? Because of this mental impurity. This is what in Vedanta we call it as mental impurity. Malam. Because of that mental impurity, I think that by acquiring and possessing these things, I will be completely happy, completely contented. And the fact is not that. So because of my blind attachment and blind aversion, because of my binding attachment and blinding aversion, what happens? I get caught up in everything. So if you want to get hold of God, right? Because in the verse for 13 and 14, we heard that the best way to live in this world is get hold on to that God through the bhakti and then act in this world. Then you are covered. Even though the river is flowing, I have an anchor in which I'm holding. So there is no risk. So, but most of the people fail to get hold of that God. Even though I really want to get connected with the God, practically I'm not able to. I'm get carried away by this. And in this verse 27, Krishna said, because of this binding attachment and binding desire, I am getting a slave in my mind. Isn't it? Isn't it? Arnab, you always used to tell me in this class, intermittent fasting, you want to do that. It is your desire. You want to do that. But sometimes you couldn't. Why? Who pulled you away? My own mind. That's what happened. All of us wanted to eat healthy. What exactly pulling us away? I see doctors smoking. Do you need to teach the doctor the effect of smoking?
It's basically one of the biggest maladies in the universe.
In the universe, exactly. So we think that we are freedom. The Constitution gives us freedom, we think. Yes, we might be politically free. We might be socially free. But where exactly I don't have freedom? I don't have freedom within myself. So that's why the Gita always tried to emphasize what I need means along with the external freedom. I don't want to be ruled by a tyrant. I don't want to, meaning in a country which is not democracy. I don't want to be controlled by my family, right? I don't want to be controlled by my boss. I don't want to be controlled by the economy. I want freedom in everything. Fantastic. Along with that external freedom, what Gita is telling us to gain that internal freedom. You should be in control. Nobody else. What more than what you feel to do, you should be able to do what you want to do. So usually what happens? My want and feeling are always opposite. What I want to do is healthy eating. What I'm feeling to do is what? Junk food. What I want to do is take rest and lying down in a couch. What I feel to do is lying down in a couch. What I want to do is what? Go to a gym. What I want to do is study Gita or prepare for a certification. What I feel to do is what? Watch a movie. Watching a movie at your will, if it is per your plan, per your desire, that is fine. But when I am carried away by the situations, when I am carried away by the circumstances, I become a victim of the situation. As human being, we don't want to get a victim of the situation. Rather, we would like to be a master of the situation. This is what Gita is teaching me. This is what we wanted to gain, right? In the current state, I am a victim of my situation. If I'm good, I'm happy, I'm contented, I can perform well when the situation is conducive to me. But you know that even for the best possible person, most luckiest person, there are situations where situation is not in my hand. Vivekananda said, even a fool can perform fantastically when the situation is in front of you. I call him that person as a great person, he who can perform well under stress, under pressure. How can I do that? I need to gain freedom in myself. So what when Gita is talking is freedom, is not freedom from action, but freedom in action. You got the difference, right? It's a lot of people think that Gita tells freedom from action. I don't want to do anything. I wanted to go and retire. No, that is not the message of the Gita. Message of the Gita is I should have the skill, I should have the will, I should have the knowledge to gain freedom in action. I should be able to decide what is right and I should be able to execute it more than my likes and dislikes. So that is why yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity of action is yoga, chapter 2. So now what happens is, what Krishna said, because of this likes and dislikes, I'm not able to do what is to be done. So what is the solution? He has been repeating this all along. Yoga. Go and do yoga. Karma yoga. Go and start doing karma yoga. So that is essentially the next verse. So let's go to the next verse. Okay. Anu, you are there?
He's not.
Okay, so let's play.
येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ताः भजन्ते मां दृढौ व्रताः.
Essentially, a karma yogi is highlighted in this verse. So he tells, meanings, let's start with yesham, those, universal pronoun. He, whoever he be, right? Yesham. So he tells tvaktagatam papam, the one whose sins have ceased. Sin meaning papam. Papam is not exactly the sin. What happens? The mental impurity. The person whose mental impurity has been purified by the practice of karma yoga, right? So jananam punya karmana. So for those people whose mental impurities has been ceased because of karma yoga, you need to put that karma yoga here. So by doing karma yoga, you get mala nivritti. That means your mind is purified. So what happens? Then that people, te dvanda moha nirmukta. So those people will be freed from dvanda. Dvanda means sukha and dukkha, labha and alabha, right? Sukha dukkhe samikritva, meaning you get equanimity. Heat or cold, pleasure or pain, right? Sorrow or happiness, whatever is the situation, he is equiposed. So that is what is highlighted here. Te dvanda moha nirmukta. Bhajante mam dridhavrataha. They can worship me. They can pursue jnana yoga. They can try to connect with me like very well, right? With commitment. Because if you try to get connected with God without that mental purity, what is going to happen? You may try, it may not work. This is a big lesson. So if you remember, I always try to say whenever I try to do the jnana yoga, this is fantastic, but where you need to start? Karma yoga. So Krishna is highlighting that. So remember the sequence. The solution for all your problem is get connected with Ishvara. Holding on to Ishvara, if you engage in the world, you will not have any problem. You can enjoy everything. But the problem is I'm not seeing Ishvara to get hold of. I'm looking everywhere, but I'm not seeing this Ishvara. Right? Those who are from Kerala, there is a beautiful song like Ishwarane Thedi Njan. I was searching the God everywhere. I searched him in the ocean. I searched him in the mountain. I searched him in the valley. I searched him in the cities. I searched him in the village. I could not see him. This is exactly what happens. Ishvara is invisible to me. Why? Because Krishna said, I am not easily visible to people. There is something that obstructs your vision of me. What is that? Yoga Maya. So how do I cross that? You need to purify your mind. You need to purify your mind through Karma Yoga. And then if you try to follow these scriptural teachings, try to learn, you will find me. You don't have to search for me. I'm always in front of you. You will find me. That's it. So understand the depth of this verse. It's beautiful. So
Naham prekash.
So the next one is how to free from self from papa karma and mental impurities. Karma yoga is the means. Karma yoga will free you from the spell of likes and dislikes. And freedom from delusion will be gained, and such people can get connected with Ishvara easily. So the second last verse.
Jara marana mokshaya mamashritya yatanti ye te brahma tadviduh kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam.
This is like a sutra. This is like a Mahavakya, this verse. Beautiful verse. So, ye yatanti, second line, right? So, the one who is striving to get connected with me. Okay? So, he said, Mam ashritya yatanti. The one who tried to connect with me. For what? For jara marana mokshaya. So those who put effort in connecting with me to gain freedom from death and old age. So essentially they are trying to gain moksha. What is moksha? What is moksha, by the way? Anybody commenting?
Self-realization.
Self-realization, it's a technical term, but what is self-realization? Shifting my identity, right? Shifting my identity. Remember, last week also we had this discussion. Imagine there is a bucket, there is a water, there is a reflection. My current reflection of myself is the reflecting medium and the container and the reflected consciousness. Put together is the jiva. When I identify that, what happens? When the container get destroyed, I think that I come to an end. Death. That is what is death. Right? We studied this in the Katha Upanishad last Valli also. So there is no rebirth, meaning there is a rebirth when you are identified with this one. But when I shift my identity from the container, from the reflecting medium, and from the reflected consciousness, and shift towards the Paramatma, there is no death, there is no birth. There is an end of life for the dreamer. But what about the waker? The waker was always there. So like that, when you say Jara Marana Mokshaya, you gain freedom from Jara and Marana. What happens? You are shifting your identity from your body mind to the Atma. When you shift your identity from the body and the mind to Atma, the Atma does not have any death. That, and as Atma does not have any old age. The old age and death belongs to body. The Atma is free from that. So that is why Krishna said, those who try to get connected with me for gaining freedom from old age and death, etc. So such people, te brahma tat vitu krishnam. Krishnam means entirely. Such people, after gaining purity through karma yoga, when they put effort through jnana yoga, try to know me, they will come to know me in the entirety. How? Adhyatmam karma cha akhilam. How do they come to know? They come to know as Adhyatmam, the Brahman, the reality, as Adhyatmam. Adhyatmam means the self in me. See, the whole idea of the Vedanta is God is always visible to you as the consciousness in you. So I will come to know God or the Supreme Brahman. What is the difference between Brahman and Atma? I had another question last week. So Brahman means the reality by which the universe exists. That is Brahman. What is Atma? The reality by which I exist. And if the reality, it's very simple for anybody to understand that, right? The reality by which the world exists should be the reality by which I also exist. So that is why we say that Atma equal to Brahman. So this is the Mahavakyam. So those who try to put effort to know that Brahman, to know that reality, after purifying himself with Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and through Jnana Yoga, when he comes to know the Brahman, the reality, they come to know it as Atma, and they will understand the secret of karma. So this is the liberation and realization and the knowledge. So he's concluding that. So with that, actually the chapter 7 is over. And there is one more verse. Typically we call it as dangling verse. That final verse, which is not essentially belonging to this chapter 7, but Bhagavad Gita has a style always. What is that style? Bhagavad Gita usually try to connect one chapter with the other, right? So you can see that. So that is what is the next verse. So the final verse of this chapter.
Naham jara साधिभूताधिदैवं मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः.
So Krishna tells, so that jnani, the person who came to know me, right? So that jnani, what happens? That person knows me as Sa Adibhuta, the one Lord of the entire universe, one pervading all the elements of the universe, the one who is the cause of all the matter in the universe. In other words, the one who is the cause of all the apara prakriti in the universe. That is number one. Then what? Adhideva, the one who is the presiding, the governing factor of the entire law of the universe. One is all the material manifestation. The second one is the one who knows that all the laws of nature is me. And then Adhiyajna, the one who presides over all the spiritual practices. So the one who is the material in the universe, the one who is the law of the universe, and the one who is controlling all the spiritual actions of the world. Such person, right? He tells, Prayana kale pichamam. Prayana kale means, prayana means journey. And what is the eternal journey of, the final journey of each one of us? It is death. Even at the time of death, what happens? Their mind, te vidur yukta chetasa, their mind will be on me. Even at the time of death, what happens is their mind will not go anywhere. They will be able to fix their mind on me. So this is a promise given by Krishna. And this topic is elaborated in chapter 8. The chapter 8 is mainly talk about two types of mukti and what happens after death. It might be a favorite topic for a lot of people. It's not a conventional Gita chapter, but very interesting chapter. We will see that. But this is an introduction to chapter 8, and we are going to talk about these concepts very in detail next week, meaning from the next sessions, not next session, the session after that onwards. So that completes the chapter 7. This is the first chapter where Ishvara, or the God of the cosmos, was introduced. And we saw a wonderful, wonderful explanation of the God of the universe. And what we will do is, next week, we will do a recap of this chapter. Usually I try to cover 4 verses. This chapter I didn't purposefully, because we took the time and tried to understand the nature of Ishvara. So we try to go as slow as possible. And any questions, please post, and we will try to answer that. And then we can go to chapter 8. So Bhuwanaji, if you can do the closing prayers, we can go to the Q&As.
Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti